Hello and welcome to the Friday episode of Journey to the Chateau, here from the wonderful Château de Colombe in Saint-Bodil, from our dining room, because we just hosted our first guest dinner, which in this case was basically a patron dinner, which we're also going to offer in the future for our guests.
Bonjour à tous, bienvenue à Journey to the Château de Colombe.
Und unseren Freunden aus dem deutschsprachigen Raum herzlich willkommen zu der Freitagsepisode Journey to the Chateau aus unserem Esszimmer. Wir hatten ein Gästeabendessen, das wir auch anbieten werden. Und es waren Patrons hier und Tony und Jane.
Yes, so as Patrick said, we are here today again in our Chateau dining room because we recently had a large dinner with guests that were patrons, and of course Tony and Jane were here as well. And it was a large dinner. It was a 5-course dinner
with six different. It was actually basically a 6-course dinner, but I just combined 2 of the appetizers on one plate.
So this is a bit about the preparation for the dinner and setting everything up, and about the dinner itself.
Yes, life at the Chateau. Hello and welcome to the kitchen here at the Château de Colombe. It's our first official guest dinner that I'm cooking, and let me tell you about the menu. We'll have creamed asparagus soup. It's white, it's asparagus season, but we get here locally grown organic white asparagus. It's fantastic. So what I did before already, I peeled the asparagus, cut it off at the base so that you have nice pieces, and I took the peels with and the cut-offs with 3 liters of water. Hello, Lizzie. And boiled them for about 30 minutes with salt and a bouquet garni and some pepper. And don't undersalt it. That was boiled, and then I let it cool down. So I just strained this, which it's really not that interesting, but I just did. And I will now cook a roux to thicken this soup up. And once that is done, I'm going to put before we serve it, when I warm it up, you put the the mouthpiece size fresh asparagus pieces into the soup and let them really just seep for about 20-25 minutes, and it's absolutely divine. It's a German specialty. A lot of people in Germany at this time of the year make this dish, and I find it a wonderful reminder of spring. After that, we have a quiche that I already baked with salad. Then we have the main course, which is chicken breast fillet on fresh roasted vegetables with couscous. After that, we have cheese, and then we'll have dessert. So 5-course dinner. Let's start cooking. Okay, so this is 3 liters of basically asparagus broth, and this is how one does make a roux. It's basically the starter for example, bechamel sauces or any thickened soup. So it is equal parts in weight of butter and flour. And for this soup, you can make a roux and let it cook for quite a while, and it darkens. That's how you make a roux for dark sauces. Of course, most people would just go to the store and buy a thickening agent. But we're going to do everything from scratch. So this is 90 grams of butter, which I'm now going to heat up. And as I said, you can let this cook for quite a while, and it gets darker and darker. But for this soup, of course, it's a white asparagus soup. You want it to be very bright. So don't let the butter brown, and be careful with when you put in the flour. Always stir, but it has to come to a complete boil for a couple of minutes, where you have to stir constantly, because otherwise it will taste like flour, and you need to basically cook that taste away. Here we go. So as you can see, the butter is now boiling, and I have, of course, pre-measured the flour. So while the lovely asparagus broth is coming to boil, I'm just going to start chopping up vegetables for our roasted vegetables with couscous and chicken breast fillet. How about that? You can, when you have the cut-offs of the leeks, for example, and any other vegetables, you can actually put them all in a big pot, add water, cook them up for a bit, strain them, and into your own vegetable stock. It's lovely. And basically free, you have it already. And with celery, it's one thing you have to always wash celery, because they you will always have celery sand that is in celery, like right here. This is just sand. So wash thoroughly, because otherwise people are going to crunch. And some people only use the white parts for certain things. I totally agree with that. But for roasted vegetables, I think it is just adds more flavor, because it's has a bit stronger flavor than the bottom parts, the white parts. So I think that's quite lovely. Okay, I'm going to give them a good rinse. I already have cherry tomatoes in here, a few. We're also going to have zucchini in with everything. Okay, I'm going to take a break from chopping up vegetables, because our asparagus soup came to a rapid boil. Look at that. So what I'm doing now is we have the roux here. I'm putting this in a small amount into the roux. And dissolve it in it. So you don't want to have lumps in it. So in this small pot, you have much more control over it. And when this is nice and liquid, or liquid-ish, you then combine everything in the big pot. But you know you won't have a lot of lumps in there. Opa. What I like to do is I'm putting a bit of cayenne pepper in it. looks lovely. Let me get a spoon to see how this tastes. Oh, this is delicious. So, turning this way down, adding the asparagus pieces. And I am waiting a couple of minutes, 5 or so minutes, to put the tips in because they're very tender and they don't need as long. And I prefer them to be, not to have a bite to it because it's asparagus, but not to be mush. So we're giving this a little time here. I'm going to continue with our vegetables. So these are our leeks that are now washed and drained. And of course, can't be enough onions in there, although there are people who don't like them. In France, we have so many amazing different varieties of onions. These are long, they all taste slightly different, I suppose. But it's just lovely. It's a pleasure to cook in France because we also have a lot of amazingly fresh vegetables that are grown locally. And of course, because of the European Union, we also have vegetables that are not necessarily in season, that come from Spain or southern Italy. It's lovely. I don't think it's necessary to use ingredients when they're not in season necessarily. But that is up, of course, to everyone's choice and taste. So these are shallots which will go onto our quiche salad plate, which I've totally forgot. I'm also making a smoked salmon mousse. So it's going to be a three variety starter. Now there are people who don't eat seafood for whatever reason, allergies or just don't like it. For them, I have a fresh herbed cheese instead of the salmon mousse. Okay, pepper, salt, and in the oven. So, by the way, I have a bit of olive oil at the bottom of this. And once it's roasted for about 20-25 minutes, I will then add a bit of broth, which then later also, when the chicken breast fillets go on it, because it's made on this dish that's pre-cooked a couple of hours prior. Once it goes on it, the broth will keep the chicken breast moist. So it's really quite lovely. Okay, the soup has now seeped, lightly boiled for about 10 minutes. Now the heads go in. I'm going to do this another 10 minutes. And then we let it sit and warm it up this evening, and it's going to be delightful. So one thing we're doing this evening before we serve, there will be a dollop of crème fraîche on each plate. Now, crème fraîche is a little bit like sour cream, but it's not. Well, sour cream, as the name said, is cream that went sour, and of course it's a process, it's delicious. But crème fraîche is not. It doesn't have the acidity to it, so it's lovely. So for a starter, we're having a white asparagus soup, which is a very traditional German dish. I hope you enjoy it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Enjoy.
So we're having a quiche, ham and bacon quiche with potatoes and smoked salmon mousse with salad and shallot vinaigrette. Bon appetit. Chicken breast fillet with spring vegetables on couscous with a lovely little gravy. We hope.
So you saw that we got to the third course, which was the main course of the meal. And by that time, the lighting in the dining room was getting a little too dark.
Now, it was lovely to have it only lit by candlelight. So, I mean...
It was absolutely beautiful during
Yes.
the dinner. It's, you know, we don't want to full blast the lighting just for the video. So it was about the dinner and about the ambiance of having the guests here.
Yep.
So unfortunately, what you didn't get to see was just the cheese course and the dessert.
True, yes.
Yeah, and the dessert I made, it was an espresso chocolate cake that had whipped cream, fresh raspberries, and a blackberry sauce that was from blackberries that we had here at the Chateau.
Yes.
Yeah.
It was delicious, but yeah, there was no more light to be had.
No, there wasn't. So it was a great time. Everyone, as far as I know, everyone loved it.
Yes.
Had a great time at the dinner. We do have, arriving tonight, is Patrick's cousin Angela.
Yes, we have another group from Paris staying at the gîtes. So it's really nicely a nice busy time.
Right.
And on Monday we have one of our patrons arriving from Denmark. Irene is coming. So it's constant arrivals and departures, and it's really nice because the chateau like this was not built for just two people.
Right. We're starting to get to the point where we have constant activity at the chateau, which is how it would have been.
Yes, it feels really good, and having the fountain now, it's also, I mean, the whole ambience has changed. And the dining room, well, it's not even half done, but what is done is really, really beautiful. And seeing what it's going to be very clearly, it's very motivational.
It is, yeah. So that's it for this episode. If you like, please give us a thumbs up.
Subscribing doesn't cost you anything. It helps us tremendously, and we just hit 31,000 subscribers.
We did, yes.
Thank you.
Yeah.
This is fantastic.
Yeah.
So we're going up to 40. Help us out,
Yes.
please.
Yeah, and if you want to support the renovation of the Chateau, you can join us on Patreon. And I will say we have a new level on Patreon if you want to check that out. We had people who had requested that we have a level that is slightly lower than the one we previously had.
Right.
So people who want to be able to afford something a little bit lower can do that. And so that's what we did. So there is a new level for everyone on Patreon.
And we also had a couple of requests from people who said, well, maybe you need to have one level that's even higher than what you have. So we're going to...
We'll work on that as well.
Yes. So thank you so much for that. And you can also buy us a coffee. See you on Wednesday. Happy weekend.
Yes, have a good Wednesday weekend. Bye.
If you enjoyed this video, please use the like feature to let us know. Also, don't forget to subscribe to our Journey to the Chateau YouTube channel if you'd like to see more. Once you've subscribed, you can tap the notification bell in order to ring it, which will allow you to receive all notifications from our channel. Thank you.